Welcome to the Midlife Pilot Podcast. We are glad you're with us. What is it like to become a pilot in your 40s and 50s? The challenges are unique for those of us in midlife, but so are the rewards. Hosts Ben, Brian, and Ted talk learning to fly, growing as pilots, and the joy of flying to destinations. The purpose of the podcast is not to teach, but to share knowledge and experiences of being a midlife pilot. Join the Midlife Pilot community and listen in every week. We are not CFIs or particularly intelligent, so if you want to learn how to fly, talk to anyone else other than the hosts of a podcast. Even this intro was too challenging for us, and we used a robot to do it. Okay, checklists are complete. Let's get the show started.
Hello and welcome to episode 167 of the Midlife Pilot Podcast, where we share experiences and challenges of flying in midlife. Today, we're talking about cockpit organization. We've all been there. Digging for a pin while ATC is talking, fighting an iPad mount that blocks your gauges, or watching your approach plate slide under the seat at 1,500 feet. I got a feeling somebody in this group probably just had that happen recently. Later, we'll get into what actually works and how to use your cockpit space so you're flying the airplane instead of managing a mess. My name is Ben. I am a pilot based in the Atlanta, Georgia area. With me, as always, it's my friend under the Bachelorette Super Charlie in the heart of Music Row. It's Brian. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. Excited to be here on a Sunday. It's a coffee. Instead of information whiskey, it's information coffee. I kind of like this. It's a little bit different. We'll see how the energy is up or down. Maybe none of us are awake yet, but we'll see. But I'm super excited about this episode and glad to be here with you guys.
When I first read your subtitle, I thought it said weights on pants. And so I wanted to go down that road, but then I thought better of it.
Something also to consider. Very
There
important.
we go. Also joining us in the heart of Portland, Oregon, it's our sport pilot extraordinaire. It's Ted. How you doing, sir?
Hey, I'm doing good. Yeah.
Good.
Went out last night for, there's this thing that's happened here about 12, 15 years called the Winter Light Festival. And it's a bunch of artists just making these exhibitions and kind of spread all over town now. But cool. Go listen to some loud music and get some donuts from a stand late at night. And
Nice.
it's pretty cool.
Very nice. Well, what have you guys been up to? Anything exciting? Brian, we want to start off with you. What you been up to?
I would love to be preparing for my check ride in a way that is actually flying the airplane, but in fact, what it has been is more of an exercise in patience as circumstances continue to pile up as the conspiracy grows to keep me from getting my instrument check ride done. In shortest terms, what that means is found an exhaust problem that we were not aware of while we were in the shop for other things we needed to get done. And so anybody knows that exhaust things are expensive and parts can be challenging for older certified aircraft. So that's been the journey that we've been on. Weather recovery here has been good. We're finally out of the ice apocalypse, but I am a little better off here in Nashville than areas or points north of here where the plane is. And I received a photograph in a text message from the mechanic when I asked about how are those parts coming, and he says, he sends me a picture of a UPS truck that has gone off the road in the snow. And he says, no kidding, your parts were on that truck. So still waiting for parts, still trying to get things done. The timeline is dwindling. I am up against it now where everything has to go perfect. I have to be able to run the table of circumstances has to be flawless from here on out for me to make this check ride happen. And as you know, in aviation, airplanes, weather, pilot, all of the PAVE checklist things, everything is always conspiring against you. So I'm starting to lose faith that my check ride will happen on time. All that being said, I'm studying like crazy and making the most of it.
Well, you know what they say, if there's no such thing as bad luck, I'd have no luck at all. So I feel you. Ted, what have you been up to?
Yeah, it's been a busy week for Mosaic and ASTM. ASTM is the standards committee. They make the standards for everything like cement, and they're the org that handles the light sport certification. Technically, anybody can handle it. The way FAA writes it is, we'll accept anybody's standards, but the reality is that everyone expects it's only going to be ASTM. So they are getting busy because the countdown is till July for the new light sport aircraft standards. And what that means is they're trying to get everything written by early April so that all the rules can be given to the FAA so the FAA can accept it by July. So I know a lot of people are like, oh yeah, they said this will be ready by July, but it's the government. It won't happen. There's been a lot of work for this. And to the point that I had an objection to a standard about how battery venting is taken care of. And it resulted in a bunch of phone calls and saying, you're not wrong. And EarthX has rewritten that. So it will be correct, but we need to do some administrative things and have you withdraw your ballot, some stuff like that. So I had some great phone calls about that. And also got to read the IFR standards for light sport aircraft, which was lacking last time. It's one of the huge omissions last time was that light sports can't go into they can't go into IMC.
Right.
So it was cool to read that and see how everything's done. It's very future driven. So it used to say must have a moving map, a GPS moving map, and now we need to have a referenced moving map because there's no reason to say we need GPS. And there's a lot of thought like that into making sure that we don't kind of paint ourselves into technologies of an era. Right. It's been kind of, I don't know, it's been kind of fun and busy.
I have a question, Ted. Does that mean that you talked to EarthX?
No, I talked to the person in charge of the standard that was writing it about that, and
I see.
A few of us have objected.
But they had to go back and have communication with them about the venting?
Yeah. On all these ballots, it's required that every member submit your ballot, and it's required that any negative ballot is addressed or justification of why they're ignoring it is given. So sometimes it's like, yeah, this person's kind of like out on a limb. We're gonna go without it. And then sometimes it's like this, where it's like, oh no, we accidentally wrote this for battery technology of today, and this will be a problem. So it's yeah.
One more question.
Yes.
When did you start when was your first flight lesson?
My discovery flight was in December of 2021. So first lesson, January 22.
Within 5 years, 4 or 5 years, this is just, I think it's amazing that
I do too.
That within 4 or 5 years, you are directly involved in helping shape
standards,
the foundational pieces of what becomes the rules.
Yeah, it is strange. Yeah.
It's kind of like if you hadn't even taken your first law school class, and then you take the bar, and within 4 or 5 years, you're on the Supreme Court.
Yeah. Well, I got interested when a guy that writes about the, kind of light sport industry was like, look, for $70 a year, anybody can be a member of this, and you have the same vote as a manufacturer does. So Ted has as much vote as Vans Aircraft does in this. And
wow,
I was like, wow, okay. It's been cool. I don't put a ton of time into it. The people that are writing it are doing amazing work. On the other hand, they're usually employed for companies that are very interested in it. I'm just doing it on the side, but it's cool to see it go past.
I just learning the process of how they go about creating all this, to me, would be invaluable for whatever you do in aviation. I just think that's, like Brian said, going from zero to hero like that, that's pretty incredible.
They need a schoolhouse rock for a high.
Yeah. Let me give you a practical example. So, I pulled actually I left it out, but I left the whiskey compass out of my plane when I bought it. The previous owner had removed it because technically it's not required in a light sport certification. And I'm generally okay with that because I fly VFR. And it's like, I figured the time that you might need that backup is when you fly into IMC. The new standard does not require it. And I was very curious about that because I pay attention because of my plane. The reason they don't require it is you've got all those backups in the electronic instruments. So you've got two sets of instruments and you've got, mine has backup magnetic direction anyway, but even with just one, you have all your backups for that. It'll use GPS as a backup to your magnetic compass and still give you a heading. So things like that, where it's like, when you think about it in kind of the old way, you're like, oh, you must have a whiskey compass, but it's like, no, actually you just need two sources and that's all built in now. So that's the stuff that I kind of find interesting.
I think, and for the audience, Ted did not pay me to say this, but I think with your personality, Ted, you are very analytical, but you also have a very clear picture of the big picture. You seem to be able to balance both of them very well. So I think that's kind of a very good role for you, what you're doing right now. So
thanks. Yeah.
Thank you for your service.
What about you? What have you been up to?
Not a lot of flying last week. I am, typical midlifer. It's so cold. I don't want to go out and get up and where it's even colder, higher in the air. I did something interesting yesterday. Lord Alpha Juliet, our friend, invited me to go to this expo, and it was called the DSC, which is the Dallas Sportsman Club. And basically, it was at the Georgia World Congress Center, which is a massive convention center. It's big game hunting, big fishing trips, all these outdoor activities. Like, there's vendors that will pick any country you want and what animal you want to go hunt or what type of fish you want to go catch. And they have a tour for it, or just going on regular safaris. It was this huge subculture. There's these gun manufacturers that, they're beautifully crafted guns. There was a gun there that was, I think it was $23,000. Or no, I'm sorry, $230,000. Hamilton and Hamilton. It's made in England, and the people there were dressed up in all tweed and all. But it was beautiful. But what I didn't expect was, so as my subtitle suggests, I'm in networking mode, looking for a job, and there was a charter company there, and Nicholas Air. And I had a very good conversation with them and got a couple of leads. And, that's kind of my modus operandi. Got a lot of stuff coming in next week. Networking events. I've got a lot of nighttime, so it's kind of working out well where I can network through the day and go fly the plane at night to get my night hours that I need to. So we're supposed to have pretty decent weather for at least part of the week here, and I'm planning on taking advantage of it. So I want to remind everybody about our events that we have coming up. And if you haven't listened to the last 12 podcasts, last 14 podcasts, then we have our Thaden Invasion. Bentonville, Arkansas. I don't know why I was struggling saying that. Victor Bravo Tango, March 13th through the 15th. And we do have some news to report. Brian, do you want to tell us some about the exciting news that we've got going on Saturday morning?
Sure. I would like to be the bearer of exciting news. This is great, actually. And one of our bucket list items here is we really wanted to make sure that this event had a educational value component. And our friend Seth Lake, DPE Seth Lake, has come through for us, all of us, the community. He is going to be giving a Wings qualified event on enhanced pre-flight airworthiness planning for owner-operators beyond the walk-around. And we'll look at what's hiding under the cowling and behind inspection plates that only get removed from time to time. And you can learn how to discover airworthiness issues before they become findings in an NTSB report, which is a great thing. So super excited about Seth putting that together. The only other thing that's on our bucket list is to somehow have a NOTAM put out. I don't even know why it would be necessary, but I just feel like we should get our own NOTAM. Anyway, super cool that Seth is doing that. If you're not familiar with Seth and his amazing podcast and video content on YouTube and everything, wildly valuable to every phase of becoming or being a pilot, one of the best out there. So it's just an honor to have him participating and helping us and contributing his wisdom, and everybody gets credit for it. Wings. And if you don't know what Wings program is, go look it up, or we'll put some links up in the show notes, but everybody should be doing Wings qualified events, and this will be one of them. So you might attend a midlife pilot event and somehow maybe look a little bit better on your next check ride because you went to it.
We're not making any promises in that regard, but there is a chance that you could look a little bit better. I do want to say I used Seth Lake's. He has this massive PDF program that I used for my commercial rating. He puts out a lot of great products. So definitely check out his YouTube channel and his podcast. He really does. He's helped me out a lot. I'll just say it that way.
Yeah, he's VSL Aviation, and I think you're talking about the ACE guide that he does.
The ACE guide is exactly what I'm referring to.
It's like a annotated FAR aim, roughly.
Roughly, yeah.
Okay.
You pick. It's got shortcuts built into this PDF. So if you want to go look up what is holding out, you can just click on a link and it bounces you around. So even a tech simpleton like myself can use it effectively. So
yeah, it's like a primitive sort of UI layer that's sitting above the PDF that by subject can be drilled into so that you're not thinking about statute numbers.
Exactly right. Well said.
That's cool.
So,
yeah.
Brian, what about the belly scrub?
Yeah, let's just do it real quick, folks. Housekeeping. As you all know, you can join our Patreon community and help us keep the Midlife Pilot podcast ad-free. Your support makes this show possible, and every membership level gets you into our incredibly active Discord community. Our Lando-matic members at just $1 a month. That's 25 cents per episode. That's probably about that's I think we're worth 25 cents for an hour. Maybe. That's 25 cents per episode. Get access to the community level Discord channels where pilots connect, share experiences, and support each other. At the Hershey bar level and above, you'll unlock the full Patreon channels in our Discord with expanded access to discussions on instrument training, plane ownership, flight debriefs, safety, career changes, plus exclusive behind the scenes content, extended interviews, and deeper conversations that we can't share anywhere else. Maybe it's not that we can't, it's just that we choose not to. I don't want to make it sound like we have an OnlyFans, but maybe we should. Maybe that's the next step, guys. We'll back burner that for now, but we'll see.
There's a t-shirt coming. I can feel it right now.
There's so many things to say here that we will not say.
Maybe more of a graphical t-shirt than anything else.
I did get a special kick out of our little behind the scenes Discord that we use to actually speak to each other as the podcast team. And when we were asking about t-shirt sizes, and Ted said, I'm a medium t-shirt, extra large Speedo.
Yes.
Now he's turning red. He's not going to comment like that ever again because he didn't know that was going to be told. So but it was very, very funny.
If you guys want to get your chat GPT ready and create some images and send them to us, that'd be great. So,
yes.
All right. Sorry about that, Ted. I'm really sorry. It just came out. It just happened. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
All right. So at the Caps Available level, you'll get into our Podcast Insiders channel and where you can see how the show gets made, early access to everything. And no matter what level you are, 10% of everything goes to Freedom Aviation Network's anti-human trafficking efforts. For everything Midlife Pilot Podcast, to support us on Patreon, send feedback, grab you some merchandise, check out event information, read our blog, tons more. Visit midlifepilotpodcast.com. And if you're enjoying the show, this is key. Please leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and we'll read it on the air, even if it's reprehensible. Then hit subscribe or follow in your podcast app so you never miss an episode, and it helps other midlife pilots find us just like you did.
Excellent.
Very cool.
So speaking of caps available and all of our member extras, we had a caps session this week. We talked with Erica, our friend of the show, Erica from AeroSafe, who is a CSIP, a Cirrus standardized instruction pilot, about how to, what mindset to have about having a plane that has a parachute in it, and how does that change your safety calculations or your options in emergencies.
Beyond Cirrus.
Beyond Cirrus, yes, because
and it's a more of a mindset. How are you approaching different things?
Mark, aka Mr. $1 Geek, is building his TL Sparker, which has a BRS parachute in it. And obviously I fly with a BRS parachute, and I've had enough hours of flying with it that I try to have it baked into my mind about how and when I would use it. And the caps chutes in Cirruses are actually BRS. So it's all the same concept, but it was a good discussion, and it drove Brian a little nutty. But it's new ways to think about things. And so it's great to have those discussions, and I'm really glad that Mark and Erica set that up so we could talk about that. And that'll be going out to the members in, I don't know, a month or two, I think. So it was a good discussion.
Absolutely.
Speaking of Patreon, our new Patreon supporters for the week, we've got at the Hershey Bar level, Jordan W. and Rank J. And at the Beast Stole Kit level, we have an upgrade, and that's Mark R. So thank you all for joining us and upgrading. In accomplishments this week, we've got to point out Alyssa, who has gone on a journey to fly those things that have spinny bits. As opposing bases said once, it's the spinny bits are on top. So she went and she got, as her first rating in it, got her commercial helicopter rating, and did that check ride. Then she took up our friend, Jeff, Juliet Echo Foxtrot, and went flying. So that was cool. Jess, got his high performance endorsement, so he can fly a 182. And, Jess, he was a sport pilot. I can't remember if I think he's still a sport pilot. So it's even more notable for that reason. And Chris M passed his instrument. This is 2 weeks in a row we've had somebody who had their instrument check ride. So that was cool. And it led to quite a bit of discussion with you, Brian, talking with Chris about kind of picking his brain on the check ride.
Yeah.
I like that.
Hey, look, it's the best thing in the world to have this community, to see other people relying on each other. But when it can be of direct value to me also, or any of us, we love that. So we have many people involved in this community that are very far down the road from where all of us are. So we're grateful for that. There's a lot of knowledge to be had, and I appreciate all the sharing and pointers.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, today, at generic time of day, whatever this may be, whenever you're listening to this, we wanted to talk about organizing the cockpit. So a messy cockpit creates real safety problems. When you're hand flying an approach in the clouds and ATC changes your clearance, you can't be hunting for a pencil or fighting with your iPad. And to that point, I do remember on my private check ride, as soon as we got in the plane and we took off for the first time, my DPE said, "Oh, I dropped my pen. Will you get it for me?" Which I didn't fall for that. But that is an example of cockpit organization. And I was quite frankly glad that I was tested on it. The NTSB doesn't blame clutter in accident reports, but we can read between the lines. Missed altitudes, forgotten frequencies, lost situational awareness. Often because pilots are managing their stuff instead of flying. So what I thought we could do is kind of go around the horn and each of us maybe contribute some tips on how we set our cockpit up to organize a little bit better. And I'll let's go with Ted first to get his thoughts on what he does setting up the egg, because that's a somewhat more limited space. So you have to be probably a little extra diligent about your organization skills.
Yes. So, I was thinking about this, and in some ways it seems like it doesn't apply as much because I do have much more limited space than many of our pilots. On the other hand, I've flown further than probably 99% of our audience. So I think that it's very key to kind of think about it and apply it back to whatever plane you're in. The flying the egg is like being in a Miata or Brian an MR2. There's no back seat. You can't just reach back and grab things. There's quite a bit of limited space. Although, man, I was in the Cessna 150, and then I realized what limited space really is. And because I've got the width, and that doesn't. The real goal is anything that I need, I better plan in advance before the flight where it's going to be. My flight bag that I carry to the plane is a purse. It's just big enough to hold my mini iPad, and has a little pouch for other things in it, because I don't want a big bag that I have to put in my luggage area, which I won't be able to access anyway. So, there's things like that kind of make more minimal. One thing that I did that that really helped was I made my own 3D printed organizer that sits. Now, remember, just like in a Miata or an MR2, I'm not sitting up off the floor. I'm basically sitting on the floor. So you don't have a lot of space to put things you might otherwise. But I have this thing that goes right next to my leg that holds my Flying Eyes prescription sunglasses, or prescription glasses, and the sunglasses that go over the top of it. And it also has a pocket just for my phone and for the notepad that I like using, for the pin for my BRS parachute, and a spot for pins to be held. And that's key. Again, all those things I used to just kind of put in this tiny center console and just reach for them all the time. So when you know where something is, when you get that call on a long cross country where you may not have your notepad handy when you get a handoff, you know where to grab your notepad to write it down. It's right there. And I'm not looking for a pen somewhere else. So those were really key for me. I used to keep an organizer on the passenger seat. I found I didn't really use it too much. It was just kind of weird. So I quit doing that. And the only thing that I really have on the passenger seat is a jacket and usually a couple of booster batteries to recharge things with. I do keep a soft-sided cooler on the floor on the passenger side. And that's where I have drinks. And I like going and buying like cut fruit before a long trip, and put that on your lap and eat it. And hopefully there isn't turbulence when you do that. Otherwise, you end up with pineapple everywhere, which has happened. But yeah, those are some of the things I like doing.
Yeah.
Then the other thing that I have that is completely different than everyone else is I have 2 cup holders in the plane. They didn't come with the plane, but they're installed. And I'm a big fan of having my coffee if it's anything near morning, and then having usually water or some sort of liquid to drink besides that. So it's like, well, why are you drinking so much? Like, where else am I going to put it? Right. Anything you put's going to roll down into the rudder pedals, or it's just going to get lost. So having a place for anything that you think you need is important. If there isn't a place for it to go, may as well not have it. So that's kind of my strategy. Brian, what about you?
I like it. You have so much you have so many customization skills as a human anyway. So this is really, as you're describing all this, I'm just thinking we're going to need to see everything. I want to make a list of everything that you just said, and then we have to have corresponding images of all of these things for Discord at some point. But, and by the way, everybody in the chat, please start throwing in your organizational wisdoms. I love this comment from Gita. She says, I feel like a mom in the cockpit. Tissues, Altoids, Band-Aids, extra cheater glasses, extra pens, etc., all go in the side pocket. So
okay, side pockets, great. My plane has them right in the door. Has a nice little slash pocket you can put things in. How do my doors open? They open upwards.
Yeah.
Right? They're like bat wings.
Oh.
What happens to a side pocket when you open the doors? Everything falls out.
Yes.
So basically the only thing in there are barf bags, just something really light.
You and Lamborghini owners are basically
I know.
affliction.
Yeah. You got to feel for us.
Is there not enough space forward of the door to mount a side pocket?
No. But there are some side pockets that have been Velcroed in on the other side, on the inside of your knees.
Got it.
So like that's where my manual is.
What about a gyroscopic side door pocket?
Ooh. It just rotates. I like it. Yeah. It's like, what's your Steadicam? It's not Steadicam, but you know what I'm talking
gimbal.
about. Gimbal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Then it runs out of batteries and everything dumps. Yeah.
You know, you've got a serious side pocket door when it requires an STC and
a charger. Yeah.
There's ADs out on your side pocket. So for me, I don't really get as involved perhaps as you do, Ted, but I can just tell you the things that work for me or the things that I think about. And keep in mind, I have a Cherokee 180. It kind of just is what it is. Some of the things that I got used to when I was first flying Cessna 172s, I did have to modulate a lot. When you get into a Cherokee, it's a different setup. I mean, the first challenge was really, how do I get my iPad to work in this environment? Because in the 172, there was enough real estate on the peripheral glass to have the iPad suction cup mounted and up in a way that was very easy to deal with, and it wasn't blocking a lot, and it felt good. Getting into the Cherokee, realized there's no real good way to do that, and it's going to have to be yoke mount. And anything you do that's on the panel is way more involved, and some people's panels are already made for it. They have a lot of blank space, maybe on the right-hand side, depending how modern it is. In my case, there was not that option. So either way, whether it was in the Cessna with the suction cup mount or the yoke mount in the Cherokee, the thing that has helped me so much, and we're not endorsed by them, but we will be if they hear this, because the greatest thing since sliced bread for me has been the pivot case. I am such a fan. It's just solid locking. Any product that has a satisfying click when you use it is next level, whether it's closing the door on a Mercedes or clipping in your, prior to that, you have all like kind of these claw mount. I don't know. There's just a bunch of goofy iPad mounts, and the pivot case strategy works. So I've been a big fan of that. So that's helped me organize a lot. Have I mentioned the pivot case? Okay. So, aside from that, I do have a side pocket that is not necessarily, it's not even about which way the door opens. It's that there is no door. So
you should have like 4 side pockets going along the side of your wall there.
It seems like that makes things easier though, right? Like you can mount things to that side. Like you can mount a suction cup and not worry about the door opening from it.
Well, you have to weigh that out against the idea of having a door. Come on. So go ahead, Ben.
I was just going to say, we're trying to find the silver lining here. If you're not going to have a door, let's make the most of it. That's all.
It's like decorating your prison cell, it's, so I like to keep certain things in there. I always am mindful about having a pulse ox nearby and in that spot. So I think from a cockpit organization standpoint for safety, pulse ox is not something to have in the pocket of your bag or, and then the one time you throw it all the way in the way back, you realize that, now you're flying at a particular altitude. You might be interested in understanding what your body's doing. I keep the pulse ox right there all the time. So that's one just little thing. And if you're not using a pulse ox, people are under the idea that these legal oxygen altitudes are valid reference points. And I have seen people get hypoxic as passengers in my plane at 8,500 feet. So you have to be ready and you have to understand what's going on. And it's not a hard ceiling where at 12,500, all of a sudden the earth knows to change the oxygen level. So have a pulse ox and keep it nearby always, and don't put it in something that gets taken in and out of the plane. That would be my recommendation for that. Otherwise, little thing that's, there's a lot of people that have Sentries or Stratus or Stratix or all these variations of ADS-B devices. One of the coolest things about this plane, and the guys that owned the plane before already had it set up, is that they went ahead and ran a USB line all the way into the carpet or whatever, and all the way through to the baggage, and connect the Stratus there with a wire that comes up, and there's the suction cup antenna in the baggage door window. So I never have to think about, is the Stratus charged? It's just if it's like as if it's built in. So that's made organizing a little bit better because you're not worried about where you're putting this thing. It's already, it's tied down into a fixed spot in the baggage compartment and just done, kind of pseudo hardwired. Small thing, maybe it's just me, but I always, when I was training and I was going to a flight school, every time that I would go to get into the plane and you're looking around to see, how did these people take care of the plane before me? What kind of people how mindful were they about the plane and its condition? How likely are they to report important squawks? What is the nature of their character? What clues can I, how can I glean insight from these folks? And so when you get into that rental plane and you see the seatbelts are undone and just kind of flopping around loosely, to me, among all the other things, the indicators of just trash or, just a lot of indicators you can see about how well the plane was thought about just before you got it. But I sort of brought that from the rental mindset into the ownership mindset, even if it's just for me. When I see that I have latched the seatbelts, I've neatened everything in such a way that every time, whether it's me or the partner in the plane or whatever, it just communicates organization, thoughtfulness, mindfulness about the environment of the plane. So I wouldn't necessarily say it's a cockpit organization thing, but I mean, if you're not sitting in the seat, clip the seatbelts and don't let them fall down in between the seats and all this other stuff. So there's that. Baggage organizer. You can get a lot of different types of things, but I have one in the back. We have one in the back it's great. It's got a ton of pockets and areas and things, and you keep all your stuff. Just a quick thing. Baggage organizer has some pockets that I keep. Obviously, we all carry tools and tape. I always carry a vice grip because it's the ultimate tool for a lot of things. Zip ties because also, yes, ties. And then a couple of things that have saved me is keeping enough cash in one of the pockets of the baggage thing back there to where if you need to make an out call at an airport where you're stuck after hours and they're going to charge you $50 or $100 to come let you in, or to let a mechanic come on the property, or any number of things, there's just a real value to having cash in the plane. It's enough to where if it gets stolen, it's not the end of the world, but it could be enough to absolutely save you. And then the last thing is, look, if somebody's going to steal the plane, they're going to steal the plane. But I keep a set of keys hidden deep in the baggage compartment organizer so that, and this has also saved me, where I can just tell a mechanic that that's where the keys are. So when you're stuck at a remote field. So anyway, those are my things. Some of those are maybe just not as organizational as little pro tips of things that have helped me, but it all comes down to just this feeling of how am I keeping everything in one place, and do I have what I need right next to me? Because when you need it, you need it.
Yeah. I want to talk more about the clipping the seatbelts thing.
Okay.
There's definitely something you read in Killing Zone that you see when you pay attention is the somewhat horrific accidents of somebody who left a gust lock in. And there have definitely been a few of those in smaller planes with sticks, like experimentals, like RVs and mine. Often the way that you immobilize the controls is by wrapping the seatbelt around the stick. In some of the tandem planes, I know of at least one accident where they clipped the passenger seat, which is behind you in flight. You can't reach it, and took off with that. And again, horrific. I also know somebody in this local area out of Checkmate Barry's airport that he, in an RV-12, had clipped the passenger seat, which is right next to you, and didn't think about it. And when he took off, that was still done like that. And it's kind of rough. So it's not just, oh, what was out of reach. It's, you just don't think about it. You got back in the plane and you didn't box the controls, whatever, and you took off, and there you go. So I never clip the passenger seatbelt over the stick. It's always got to be the pilot seatbelt, because there's no way to get into the plane if you have it clipped like that. And that's some of the reason that I always leave the passenger belt clipped together is it can't reach, it won't get in the way, that kind of thing. So you can think about that being different from a plane with a yoke, and some of these more modern planes that may use a different technique to have a gust lock. I think about that when I see these planes that have an external gust lock, like on the rudder and those types of things. It's like, I'm way too dumb for that. Like, the odds of forgetting that, I'm definitely going to like taxi out and hit the rudder and realize that I did that. I have to stop and get out and do that kind of thing. And I hope that that's as bad as it gets, but that's always a concern for me. And then talking about the iPad, it reminded me that my goal in the plane was no suction cups. And so my RAM mount arm for my iPad is bolted on to the side of the instruments, and my Sentry is on a 3D printed clip that mounts over my head, and so it never comes out of the plane. I don't have power running to it all the time, just because I only have so many things I can charge at the same time. But every 8 hours or so, I have to recharge it, and so I'll do that. Those are some of the things for me. This is the luxury you can have when you own your own plane, is doing things like putting a mount for your Sentry or your Stratix or whatever in place. It's a little bit harder as a renter. I remember doing that. You have a backpack full of suction cups. You know, the Sentry goes over here, and the GoPro goes here, and how am I going to put my headset mount in here, and all those types of things.
We'd love to hear from folks that have rental strategies, because I would say most, or half or more, owning a plane in any capacity is such a fleeting, amazing thing. And renting or being in a club also, amazingly great options, especially when you're in situations like we are, where we're often needing expensive parts that we cannot find. You can just, what's the way they put it? Squawk and walk.
Yes. Yeah.
And so that's such a great place to be also. And you're faced with your own organizational challenges. Send us what you've got for that, because I definitely have not done that in a while, but I remember what you do, Ted. It's a backpack full of suction cups, and it felt like setting up to busk on a street corner in Times Square, you know?
Yeah.
But it's totally doable. I mean, and like I said, the pivot suction cup mount that I had for 172s is incredible. So there are little levels up, you know, for everybody's situation. The pivot.
So I agree. I wish we'd had this topic come up a while back because when I was doing multi and renting, I really struggled with cockpit organization. Actually, it was a running joke. I would always lose pins because in the Beast, 1968 has an ashtray, which is a perfect pin holder. And I have several in my flight bag. I take a little bit different strategy than you both. I do keep my flight bag, when possible, within arm's reach. I've got it very specifically laid out and no, I don't even have to look at it. I know where my pulse ox is. I know where my utility knife is. I know where everything is just without even looking at it. I do still wear a knee board. So pins are very important. I love writing down frequencies. It's just a habit I started a long time ago, and I don't see any reason to give it up. We have a little caddy that kind of holds drinks to where they need to be. It's worked pretty well. We've hit some turbulence where it's knocked over, but we were able to take care of it immediately. But I am now very curious. We do use a suction cup for our iPad. And you got to remember, I have a partner. So this has to be a mutually agreed upon strategy. And we have kind of the claw thing that holds the iPad. But the reason I like it so much, to your point, Brian, about overheating, is it's right up under the vent. So even in the middle of summer, you can turn the vent where it's blowing right on top of it. I do like the claw because it does allow airflow to the back of the iPad where it gets heated. And I'm a little worried that having the click mount, what do you call it? Pivot mount, that it's not going to allow for airflow in the back of it. But I do want to investigate that because the claw, the little rubber things that hold it, end up coming off.
Here's the back of my pivot here.
Yeah.
But it seems like it would be more limiting than it is. And even with we just have ankle coolers in the front, and
right.
You aim the ankle cooler up, and it has a nice effect though on keeping it cool.
So for me, kind of getting back to the bigger picture, I set my cockpit up. I don't even think about it. For example, when I know that I'm going to be flying IFR and I'll be IMC, I have a set of flying eyes readers, bifocals, with the clip-ons. So I know to use those, that when I'm in IMC or below the clouds and there's no sun, that provides plenty of visibility. If I get above the clouds and it's sunny, I can throw the clip-ons, as opposed to having a dedicated pair of sunglasses versus these readers here and switching back and forth. I always have my pins and everything that I need. But I do use the advantage of a backpack and knowing wherever it is to kind of keep everything nice and tidy. My thing that I struggle with the most, and hopefully we're going to address this with our panel, is our charging situation. And that's, we have a 1988 car cigarette charger with 4 USB ports in it. And it works most of the time, but it creates a lot of wires all over the place. And I have to have a wire over my lap. It's fine, but if we're able to put in a USB into the panel, that could clean things up. That's the only thing that bothers me, but I just haven't found a better solution. I tried using portable batteries and putting it in the side pocket to keep some of the wires out of the way, but it's just not as useful. You got to go recharge it. There's just one more thing I have to think of to go recharge. But it's one of these things that as you build more time, it just becomes more second nature. The bad side of it is if I do forget something, I am really thrown off bad. And if I go halfway home and know that I've forgotten my favorite pin, I'm going to turn around and go back and get my pin just so I can make this flight. It's not quite that bad, but it's pretty close to it. And it's something that I don't put a lot of energy in thinking about because I guess I've been doing it for so long. So we've got some feedback that we wanted to get to. And Brian, you're the the master reader amongst us all. Your voice is more eloquent than ours. So why don't you kick us off with this feedback?
All right. We have listener feedback. So just as a reminder, you can email us at midlifepilotpodcast@gmail.com or just go to midlifepilotpodcast.com and click a button and you can yell at us. So it's pretty awesome. Couple of listener feedbacks. One is this one's a follow-up to, I believe it was last week. Mike D says, hello, gents. Thank you for reading my email on the episode. As a follow-up to your questions and comments, I started listening when I started my flight training in 2022 with OG Chris and Brian. So for those who are not aware, the podcast began with just me and OG Chris Moran, our friend, for episodes 0 through 40. And then the rest is history. So if you're going back that far, you're hearing us as little podcast babies. So Ben, yes, I filed for most of my trip home, even though it was severe. Clear CHS to ACY, ACY to OXC, then VFR for the short-term flight from OXC to my home airport for Bravo 8. Now, is that enough acronyms for an email that you would get from a person? Aviation does this to us all.
Exactly.
Yeah. So yes, CHS to ACY, ACY, OXC, VFR, short flight OXC to my home airport for Bravo 8. All right. This also allowed me to check the box for my long commercial cross-country flight. And to Brian's point, I had most of my boxes checked before enrolling in the program. So for context, this was about his accelerated program IFR experience to get his rating. I hadn't performed my IFR cross-country and I needed 20 plus more hours of IFR for instrument flight training. On another note, if you all thought there might be some benefit, I'd be happy to do a debrief with you all at some point. Would love that. Would love to have and I think that One Dull Geek combined with, because I know he did a IFR accelerated program as well. I think it'd be great to have you two ping-ponging that around, because I'll say even for me right now, I just go, gosh, life has a way of really causing problems, and the longer time frame that you employ to do this, the more you're looking at having things be interrupted by circumstances that have nothing to do with you. So it might have been a better decision for me to just go do 6 days, but granted, I needed to build some more things. So I don't know. And my approach was fairly accelerated. I was trying to do it all in 2 or 3 weeks. So in terms of the flying portion. So I don't know. It's an interesting thing. I'd like to talk to you more, Mike, about that and see what your experience was. So thanks for that. Thanks for following up, answering the questions.
Very cool.
Right.
I'll take the next one if that's okay.
Yeah, please.
So this next feedback comes from Mike Sierra Gaw. He says, hey, community, passed my IFR written yesterday morning. Congratulations. Shepherd Air was my friend. Thanks to this community for the recommendation and support. I am not posting the score, though. I think it puts pressure on people who haven't taken it yet or could make them feel bad for not getting a high enough score. I think as a community, we should support the effort and dedication we all put into being better pilots, not the scores that come out of that effort. Just congrats to everyone who passed recently. And for those of you think doing it or feeling you don't understand the written test material, try Shepherd Air. I've used them for just about every rating I've achieved. So it's tough, but if you do what they say, you will pass, and I bet you will exceed your personal expectations. Love this place. Thanks Ed Siskin and the guys for building all this. Just amazing. Mike Sierra Call. So that's, we appreciate that feedback and congratulations.
So speaking of not giving the scores, I'm not sure if people have noticed, but in the last 12 to 20 episodes, when I talk about people hitting hour milestones, I don't say the hours on the podcast. And that's why I do that, right? It's not important to say, oh, you hit 100 hours, you hit 1,000 hours, you hit 200 hours. Those numbers are different for all of us. And we're not trying to encourage a certain number or compare or anything like that. So I think it's important to celebrate that. It's like this is like celebrating a birthday. It's not necessarily how old you are. It's just that it's one more trip around the sun and it's an excuse to get together. So, I think I appreciate that. I like what Mike Sirigal said about not giving the score to, kind of keep from having that comparison.
I've always said this. I used to be a runner, and I would look at my scores compared to other people in my age bracket. And the reality is, for 99.99% of us, there are many, many people with a lot more hours than us, and there are many, many people with a lot less hours than us. People would run faster times, people would run slower times. So it just kind of doesn't matter, but it is great to celebrate those achievements, because when I hit 100 hours, I didn't have anybody to share that experience with, and I was excited about it. And, my wife was, good for you, that's great, but it's not the same as another pilot who has just accomplished it, or, something to that effect. So we always say comparison is the thief of joy, and that's not what we're trying to do here. So I do appreciate Mike Sirigoff's feedback on that.
I love it.
I've got to say, I do use Strava, not to, for cycling. It's not to compare my results to others, but to compare it to myself.
100%.
And I love it. I can see how was I doing last year at this time on this climb. And so, because I love data. So
yes. And I do the same. I have a Garmin watch, and it recognizes trails that I run, and it will compare me to the last one. And so that's the only reason I like it. I do want to hit this question from Flying Finn UK, talking about Cockpit organization. He said, "What's your feeling on portable lithium battery packs?" And I I use it from time to time, but I kind of use it in a pinch. For me, it's one more thing I have to charge after I use it, and it's just one more task in my brain. I do like them. I have one. I usually kind of keep it at the house for when the power goes out, but I like them, but I just don't use them that often.
Is there a fire consideration here also? Things baking in the sun. Ted, do you have any thoughts on portable lithium battery packs?
Well, yeah. Back in the day, our friend Josh M, Cirrus driver, was very concerned about having lithium battery packs in his Cirrus where you can't open the doors in flight, and there aren't any windows, or there aren't reasonable sized windows. And so he had a fire sleeve that he kept in the plane, because, it's not just a portable battery pack. It's your iPad and your laptop all have batteries in them as well. Of course, so do your GoPros, right? So, we've got lithium batteries all over the place. I think it's important not to buy really cheap ones, to pay attention to, the health of them, make sure they don't, start pillowing. I have a couple of GoPro batteries that are starting to pillow a little bit, and it's going to be time to replace them. I do use them. Like I've said, I have a lack of, slots to charge things in the plane. So I generally have two fairly large lithium packs that I use. So I'll use those instead of using, the cigarette lighter in the plane to charge things with. But yeah, I think you just need to pay attention to that. But Brian, you had something you wanted to say on our last topic.
Oh yeah. So before we totally leave behind the last feedback from Mike Sirigoff, I just wanted to say about this comparison being the thief of joy and all this. Here's what I want people to frame in their minds. When somebody gets an 80 on a private pilot written or an instrument written or commercial, whatever it is, they may be working two jobs to pay for training and have a family that is in a difficulty or any number of circumstances. And I think that there's how do I say this in a way that doesn't sound, I'll just say it. I'm just going to preface this with, I don't know how to say this better, so I'm just going to say it. I find that aviation culture, there's a lot of overachievers by nature. There are people that like to establish themselves, credentials and hunting for ratings. And I think that this, for lack of a better term, I think there's a lot of people in aviation that are kind of competitive, or even if they're just competitive with themselves, that still ends up yielding out this energy to others as feeling competitive. And so I just want to say, I really love what you said here about don't post a score. It's just, high five, you got it done, and this is really what it's all about. It makes me, I see a lot of things from a socioeconomic standpoint. I see, from that sort of disparity. There's a lot of people that have challenges in aviation where, people say, well, you own a plane. It's like, no, I own 1/3 of a plane. They just are gracious enough to let me take the entirety of it when I go flying. And I'm a person that is into aviation all in for less than the cost of a very used Toyota Corolla. And so I want people to understand that when you're coming from that kind of a socioeconomic place, you have problems and challenges among your peer group or community, most people's perspectives on solving these problems, not most, often people's perspectives on solving these problems are, we'll just upgrade to the, this $40,000 avionics thing, or, I had that same problem. What it is, I dropped $100,000 on my plane. It's like, I'm not in the same world. And so that trickles all the way back down to the ground level of the simplest things. Can we just be rooting each other on for even trying? We reward each other for no-goes, even when the weather turns out perfect. We should do the same thing for rewarding people for posting test scores without talking about how great they are. I'm not saying people do that, but I don't know, just if I'm anxious about a test and I see 3 people post that they got 100 on it and I'm feeling like I am nowhere close to that, don't you want to throw a rope to that person and bring them forward as opposed to, making them feel like they have less of a chance by proxy of just you standing on the rock of your achievements? So I don't know. This is a particularly, as of late, sensitive thing for me, where I see a lot of comparison. I see a lot of people quietly being discouraged by those that are, I think, maybe thinking that they're encouraging other people, but, being on your umpteenth rating and having clearly an infinite budget to do whatever you want to do in aviation and all the time in the world to do it. Just accept that there are socioeconomic differences and circumstantial differences that separate us on some level, and we are not all cut the same. And so when that person makes an 80, don't tell them, I'm not saying this has happened, but just, don't tell them they should have used this product to study, or that was them getting an 80 might have been a massively more monumental achievement than you getting 100.
To add to that, and we'll move on, we'll wrap up here in a second.
No,
I will come out and I will just tell you, I was not a good student. I am a terrible test taker. Yes, I know. It's shocking.
None of us are. Well, Ted is.
Yeah. Well, you're the one that gave me the nickname Sage. And so I wanted to kind of put it on the record that when I got my test score, which was below a 90, and I'm just going to leave it at that, I felt like it was a huge accomplishment because I suck at taking tests. And it's just who I am. I have to work, I feel like, 3 times as hard as anybody else to get a passing grade. So again, I appreciate everything that Mike Sirigoff said to that. I do want to hit Geeta's comment. And by the way, she's got a great podcast called the Calm Cockpit podcast that I've been listening to. And I find it very helpful. Geeta says, you guys have the best and super supportive vibe. So appreciated. I'm on the show, slow and steady path to private. Golly, I can't even read today, much less take a test. Steady path to private certificate, and the focus on process over score chasing is helpful. So thank you for sharing that. And,
with all that said, we do have to acknowledge that, as Nathan Ballard points out, Brian did get 1,000% on his ground instructor exam. And
UGI.
Uber ground instructor exam.
And I mean, getting over 100%, that is quite the accomplishment. So, congrats, Brian.
He took the test 10 times and got 100 on each of them to give him 1,000%.
He took it 20 times and got 50% on each time.
Listen, if you have Canva or some sort of document or photo editing software, you can have whatever grade you'd like to have.
Yes.
But no, I appreciate our friend Nathan Ballard. He endorsed me for my commercial written, and I managed to do reasonably okay on it to where I knew that it would not come back on him. But stuff is hard, man.
Yeah.
All of this is so hard. And so just don't forget about how few people ever endeavor to do this and to try to navigate. Ted, you opened up the show with the ASTM pieces and just all the changing landscape of aviation and regulation, and trying to just be in this and keep track of everything that's happening. And there's and to be willfully involved in a craft that there is no end. There is no mastery. There is no peak. There is no pinnacle. So just enjoy it and enjoy other people enjoying it.
Very much so. Very good, gentlemen. Great discussion today. Thanks to everybody in the chat. Don't forget to hit subscribe. Follow us on Instagram. Click all the buttons. Say all the things like Brian likes to say. Today, before we got onto the podcast, I was going down the rabbit hole of looking at doing some fly fishing while we're up in the Bentonville area. And it reminded me of a quote from who is arguably one of the finest fly fishermen that ever lived. His name is Lefty Cray. And he's had a saying, tradition is fine as long as it doesn't get in the way of progress. Signing off, episode 167 of the Midlife Pilot Podcast. Goodbye, everybody.